Let's see if it stops long enough for me to at least say hello. Hi folks, it's Switchback. If you hear some beeping in the background, it's because as soon as I decided to set this up, the neighbor kicked up doing some work on their property. So yeah, we're gonna hear some beeping in the background. I apologize. Right on cue. As of filming this, Southern California, Los Angeles area has some significant fires going on. And so, having been through my share of them in Northern California and hiking and backpacking in burn zones and camping in burn zones, I thought it would be prudent to talk about some of the things to consider if you're going to be recreating in a burn zone. And if you stay to the end, I will share with you some of the benefits I have found backpacking and hiking and recreating in burn zones. Wait until the area has been officially cleared and reopened. Fires can burn underground for several months even, and so it's really important to let crews go through and clear those areas. And even if they have been cleared and reopened, that doesn't mean that they're free of hazards. Roads in the area might not be as stable and may not be able to handle as much weight. And if you're camping with an RV, this is very important to know. But if you, for example, they have plastic culverts underneath the ground for groundwater to go through, those may not have been repaired yet. Guardrails may not have been repaired yet. Road signs may be missing or damaged and may not have been replaced before they've opened everything back up. The same can be said for the trail itself, and a lot of the common markers may be damaged or gone entirely, and the trail may actually be harder to follow as a result. So make sure that you have a map and compass with you so that you know how to navigate. If the place that you're going to was developed prior to it burning, say it was a neighborhood or a town, there was a cabin there, it was a campground, there may be additional hazards that may not have been collected and cleaned up, such as glass, nails, barbed wire, and other hazards. If you're out in the wilderness or boondocking or something where you're not necessarily in a developed campground, try to avoid camping and setting up camp in a burn zone directly. But if that's not something that you can avoid, then avoid setting up right in a swale where water would collect if it were to rain. Be sure to check extra carefully for any potentially damaged trees and avoid being at the bottom of a slope where erosion may send debris in your direction. Avoid going on windy days as best you're able, because this can blow around toxic ash that may not otherwise be disturbed, and it increases the risk of trees falling. And even trees that don't have any visible fire damage may still have a higher risk of falling because the ground underneath them is not as stable. The organic matter, which is the live stuff that's in the soil, is generally what burns. And so that can make the ground a lot less stable, a lot more sinkholes out there. Those sinkholes and other trip hazards are definitely present, and you want to be mindful of that, especially if you are also going off trail. And be on the lookout for any white ash, because that may be covering something that is still really hot or a sinkhole. If you tend to hang your food when you're out, you may want to consider taking a canister, since, trees may not be such a suitable option in this case. Be aware that wildlife may still be displaced and scared, and so you may see more or encounter more wildlife. Their behaviors may be different. They may be hungry, thirsty, may not have gone back to their normal life yet. There might be significantly less shade than there normally would be, so make sure that you take extra precautions such as a sun hat, gloves, umbrella, sunscreen, shade tents, etc. And I will drop some links down below to some of my favorite options of this. I'm almost done. Yeah, go for it. We're gonna keep this fire going here. There we go. Some good crackling. The ground will absorb rainwater differently, so be mindful of erosion, debris, landslides, and that floods are going to be a lot more likely. Since that ground and the way that it retains water have likely shifted, there may be different water sources or absence of ones that you may be counting on, so just be aware of that. And because of the increase in runoff, water crossings may be more treacherous, water levels may be higher, and there may even be additional debris in that water. Be mindful that ash and charcoal can also stain your clothing and your gear. Now on to some of the benefits that I have seen out there. I will say that hiking in places where there has been a wildfire in the past year in the springtime brings about the most incredible fields of wildflowers. That heat can trigger some of those seeds to sprout, and the additional sunlight and just the changing conditions, the change in the soil can really bring about some incredible displays of wildflowers. Other vegetation will grow, new shrubs, the bases of the trees will start sprouting new branches, and it just looks really cool. It just completely changes the terrain. And views that are normally obstructed with, branches and leaves and needles, those may have all burned, and you may be able to see for miles where normally you can't. Safety is always number one when you're out on the trail. And so in addition to a first aid kit, you're going to want to carry additional emergency supplies. So click here in order to see the video that I have about what I carry when I'm out hiking, backpacking, and camping. Thank you so much for watching. If you got value, like, subscribe. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.